Welcome in to another episode of Chiefs Focus Live. We've got a couple things we want to talk about. We're going to start off with some it's kind of sad news with the injury report update we got today from Andy Reid. Then we're going to move on to talk about the Chiefs offense versus the Niners defense and the 49ers making more excuses before the game even begins. My name is Quentin Morris. We got Thiz running the show in the background. And now a guy who is a cross sports fan and not a cross dresser. It's the old
That's
man
right.
himself, JP.
Hey man, how you doing?
We got some great news earlier in the week. By that, I mean yesterday. I want to talk a little Royals before we jump into Chiefs talk because it's not very often. In fact, it's literally never happened before that the Royals
Yeah,
make news when the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. So before we jump into the NFL news and the Super Bowl and all that, let's talk about the Bobby Wood Jr. contract that was just signed because I'm
insane.
so freaking excited about it, and everybody here should be excited about it too. The
So
Royals
cool.
signed Bobby Witt Jr., their superstar shortstop, to a 14-year deal for $285 million. 11 of those years are guaranteed. The last 3 years have team options on them. Years 7, 8, 9, and 10 all each have a option for Bobby Witt Jr. to get out of the contract. So at the very least, he is signed here in Kansas City for 7 years, which would put him at age 30. It's super exciting. This is the
Yeah,
largest contract by far. The Royals were one of 3 MLB teams to not even have a $100 million contract ever signed on the books, and now Kansas City has almost a $300 million deal.
yeah, that's insane. I mean, honestly, like I told you, I mean, when I was there, they had a $41 million salary cap, and that including the managers.
Yeah,
So there was no money to be made. It was kind of insane. But that to have that number, and honestly, I mean, back then, I think the Yankees were at about $160 million when I was there, and we were at 41 million. So for them to do that, especially for the Royals, that's pretty amazing to me. And I'm happy for them. I mean, they need to have some stability, and I know they're pushing to get that stadium done and get all that done, and that's probably a good starting point. Sign one of the best to a giant contract and look like
I
you're
mean,
up
I,
there with the
I
big
think
guys.
universally he's easily a top 25 baseball player
Yeah,
in the MLB. I think if you exclude pitchers from that, he slides up that list significantly. Um, there was a writer from the MLB Network. He says that he could have a Chipper Jones kind of. He compared him to Chipper Jones,
yeah,
um, and he said that if he would be surprised if he doesn't win an MVP, an AL MVP before the contract is up. So
really
this is
cool.
a superstar that you've locked up. The Royals have literally never done this before. I'm excited to see the team make moves like this. They've made a lot of moves this offseason that shows that they want to be a competitive baseball team. During the press conference yesterday, John Sherman said, he literally said that he will not use the fact that they're a small market as an excuse to not make significant moves. This is exciting because it shows that John Sherman is willing to go out there and improve the team. This is a guy that is a Royals fan, grew up in the area, and wants to see a boys in blue playing significant baseball games again.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm glad
It
to
is.
hear it.
It really is. I'm so excited. Um, I haven't been this excited about a baseball season in a long time, because the Royals are making moves that matter, and
Yeah,
let's hope that they end up playing in baseball games that really matter. They haven't done that since 2016, so let's hope. We're 9 years since the Royals made their World Series win. 10 years since they made their first World Series run. So let's see what they can do. You know, compete for
well,
the worst.
first World Series run while you were
That,
alive.
yeah, that one doesn't count.
Yeah,
Despite the fact that I have a replica trophy literally sitting 2 feet above me.
yeah,
Um, this is an important year for the Royals because if you're able to come out and be competitive early in the worst division in baseball, I think you can win back a lot of Royals fans because we've all seen what this city looks like when the Royals are good. I
yeah.
mean, they become the talk of the town. The stadium sells out. And it becomes as loud as a football game. It really
Yeah.
does. So
Yeah.
we love our Royals here in Kansas City, but you got to prove it to us. So I just wanted to talk about that first because it's awesome, and everybody who is a baseball fan in Kansas City should be excited about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's move on to the injury report because I think that's
Yes,
important.
there are a couple of significant injury that we need to talk about. I
Yeah.
know we usually save the injury report for later in the week, but Andy Reid during his press conference had a couple of things to say about Tooney. He says that it is a quote a long shot for him to come and play in this game. That's unfortunate. Didn't rule him out or anything, and he's still not ruled out on the actual injury report. But saying that on a Tuesday when you play on Sunday, that's not great. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I wouldn't completely rule him out anyway, regardless of Andy saying that, because that's happened in the past where Andy said it doesn't look like somebody's going to play, and they ended up playing anyway. Uh, Being the fact that it's earlier in the week, that doesn't hurt my feelings if it was on a Thursday or a Friday. Then I would say, okay, this is kind of screwy because we got 5 days left. Then it's like, oh man, fuck, there's no way he's going to play. But given the fact that there's still 5 days to go, I know that strain is hard to, I mean, when you strain anything like that, especially a muscle, you lose any power in that muscle. So it's really hard when you, especially in the position he plays, to be able to come out and be effective. So, and look, Algaretti's been great. There's no doubt about it. Um, Honestly, I mean, I think it was Trey Smith. I think said he didn't feel like they lost a step with Algaretti in there. So I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens at the end of the week.
Nick Allegretti is about to make millions of dollars in the offseason. He's going to get paid by somebody, especially if he comes out and if Nick Allegretti plays in the Super Bowl and has a good game. Not even
Yeah,
not even a great game. I'm just talking
just got to have a good game. That's all
right.
he's got to
He's
have.
going to get a fat contract from somebody. So
Absolutely.
a Nick Allegretti is hoping that he can play in the Super Bowl because if his performance is just good,
Yeah,
he's going to get a huge payday from somebody. I don't know who it is, but somebody's going to give him a fat deal.
I agree.
The other injury that I want to discuss, this was once again talked about in the Andy Reid press conference, is about Jerick McKinnon. He says, "quote is slim to play."
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's sportsmanship, gamesmanship. I think
yeah,
that's what that
why don't
is.
you go ahead and talk about it, and I'll give you my thoughts.
McKinnon he's doing really well. He's practicing to a degree. He's doing the walkthroughs. He's doing everything he needs to do. I just can't see him not playing, especially against the 49ers. I don't see it happening. I think this is more gamesmanship than it is anything else. We'll see at the end of the week. I have a feeling he'll end up playing it. I have a feeling he'll be active at least.
Man, this one, I'm gonna be a party pooper here.
I know
Even
you
if,
always are.
yeah, I know what's different. Um, Even if he plays, I'm not sure what impact he can have on the game. Um, Yeah, Joe. Is Tony genuinely hurt or is he a healthy scratch? Yes, he is hurt, but I
Yeah,
also think that he just won't be active either. Or if he'll be active, he'll be one of those situations where if he was a superstar, that he'd probably play, but he's just going to be one of those guys that when you're talking about the numbers of the game, I don't think that they trust him anymore. So I do think he is hurt because he's, a glass shoe, right? He's just a guy that gets hurt. But if he was a superstar, then he could probably play through it.
yeah. I mean, I don't see him. I mean, he may be active, but I don't know if they'll put him on the field. It
He'll
really,
be active only because if somebody else is hurt in front of him, then you can use him because he's a
and
guy.
that's the thing. I think it's a lot. It's going to depend on McCole too. I think if McColl's playing like crap, it's going to change. It'll change during the game, but it really depends on how McColl's playing. If he plays like he did the last game, I don't know. Although the one thing about Andy and Mahomes, for that matter, they always go back to whoever is having the issues. They've done it with Tony. They've done it with McColl numerous times. They want you to succeed. They want you to keep your confidence level up. So who knows? McColl might see some action. Um, but yeah, as far as Tony's concerned, I don't see him touching the field during the game.
So back to McKinnon. I'm just not sure that if he comes back, what kind of impact he can have in the game. He's a guy that hasn't played on this team for what, most of the season now. Um,
Been out
yeah,
about
I
six
just
six
guy coming
weeks.
back. Yeah, guy coming back and playing in the Super Bowl. I just don't know. I just don't know how much of an impact he can have. Sure, maybe he's used in the red zone, but yeah, I just don't know what sort of impact he can realistically have on a team for someone that all offseason or all postseason we've been talking about the importance of that connection that Mahomes has with guys like Isaiah Pacheco and Rashee Rice and Travis Kelsey in the passing game. And then we're just going to bring somebody back in who hasn't taken a snap in months. I'm just not sure what sort of impact that they can have.
Well, with his, the one thing about him, he's got a lot of experience, and I think he could step in and actually make an impact. I don't think he's going to be the guy that drops six passes or fumbles the ball for that matter. It really depends on how in shape he is and what kind of football condition he's in. That's what it's really going to boil down to.
All right. Like I said in the open, we're going to split the show up a little bit because we want to keep talking Super Bowl for the whole week. So we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Chiefs offense versus the 49ers defense. And then we're going to flip it on Thursday. We're going to talk about Niners offense versus Kansas City's defense. So I have a couple of matchups that I want your thoughts on, JP. And if you have any other matchups that you want to talk about, then we can talk about it afterwards. So we're going to talk about the top matchups that I think are going to come in for the game. My first one I want to talk about is Rashee Rice versus Charvarius Ward. Obviously, Ward was on this team. The last Super Bowl run was on Kansas City, the last Super Bowl run. So there's a fun little narrative there. But Charvarius Ward is a man coverage corner, right? We saw that here in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And then Rice has turned out to be the number one wide receiver on this team. So why don't you take it over, JP? And what are your thoughts about those two guys going up against each other? Because I think we can both agree that Ward is going to be the one covering Rice.
I have a feeling he is, and I got to tell you, I think that's going to be Joe says advantage Rice. I don't know about that. Ward is a very good man coverage cornerback. He just is. He's been that way even when he was with us. Yeah, he didn't have a ton of interceptions, but man, he did not let a lot by him, and he still doesn't. That's why he's a starter on the San Francisco 49ers defense. He's very good. He shuts down a lot of wide receivers. Rice, given the fact that he's so quick, may have a little bit of advantage, but I don't know how great of advantage it's going to be. I think it's probably going to be the toughest. I think this is probably going to be the toughest matchup Rice has had all year. I really do believe that. Ward is a damn good corner. He always has been. So I think this is going to be a tough matchup for him. Do I think he could beat him? Yeah, probably. At some point, he probably will. Um, but Ward's pretty damn good, man. I mean, it's hard to get past that guy. He's shut down a lot of top wide receivers in this league for a long time. I mean, look what they basically did. Against he's done that against everybody, really. Even when he was with us, and people were like, oh, "Okay, well, he's good, but he's not that good." He did a pretty good job. I think at one point he had like a 56% catch rate, which is kind of insane. So I don't know, man. I think he's pretty damn good.
Look, I'm with you. I think that one of the things that Ward is a little underrated with is how physical he is.
Yeah.
I think that Rice is going to have a big challenge because I don't think he's faced a physical man corner like him
No.
before. I think that's going to be a challenge. Now I know, obviously, Rice is going to play in the slot some, and Ward won't end up covering him. He'll obviously be covering guys like MVS too, but I think that there's going to be, when you look at the snap count, I think Ward and Rice are going to spend a lot of time next to each other during this game, and Rice is going to have to break through. You do need him to come out on top, and I don't think that the advantage goes to Rice when they're in strict man-man coverage. I think that if they're in zone, I think Rice has sort of found the way to, beat some of that zone coverage. You're right. Rice is very quick. He's got
Mm-hmm.
great power coming off. He's gotten really good at finding inside, outside leverage, right? These are the things that, as he's developed in the NFL, we've seen him improve his route running, and that's going to really help Rice get to the some of those inside slant routes and win there. But it's going to be tough, and we're going to see a lot of replays during this game where Ward is just going to be all over Rice, and he's going to be stuck to him. He's going to be glued to his hip,
Yeah.
and so this is going to be difficult for him. But I think Rice is still going to be able to get some of his catches. But Travarius Ward is going to overall have more stops, and Patrick Mahomes is going to have to go to some of his other receivers. So I think it's going to be a great matchup between the two. This is going to be Rice's biggest test, and how he comes out will prove to me if he's a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver. I mean, it
Yeah,
really is. This is going
I
to be a
agree.
big test for him.
I agree. Now, the one thing I will say is that and Joe brought up a good point. I mean, Justin Watson is that guy that, can be that 7 to 20 yard guy that can really solidify a game. I think if they put either Rice or Watson together on one side, on Travarius Ward's side, or Rice and MVS on Travarius Ward's side, I think you're going to get more Ward on one of the other two, especially MVS. I think that's what will end up happening. But I still think that there's going to be a lot of coverage. They're going to put their best guy on Rice because he's our best wide receiver right now.
Yeah.
So it really, it's going to be a test. It's going to be a chess match because Andy's got to put together a game plan that everybody that's on this offense is involved and can beat their corners, which, look, do they have the top corners in the league? No, we do. But they've got pretty damn good corners. They got a pretty good, they got a couple of, the one thing I can say, we're kind of lucky to some degree. I don't know if it's luck or not because these guys are pretty good too, but they got 2 good safeties that have come in playing for injured players right now. And they've stepped up to the plate. Are they Justin Reed? No. But they're good. So I think it's going to be, Patrick Mahomes sits in that hotel here and he watches 2 games a day, every day. And he basically writes everything down in a notebook. And then he changes the notes that he wrote down from the 2 games he wrote and that he watched the day before because he sees something different every time. So it's going to be a chess match to see what these guys can do up against that defense. And Andy's going to have to put a really good game plan together.
You know what else the 49ers are pretty good at? Rushing the passer, which is our next lineup. I have Nick Bosa versus Donovan Smith is our next key matchup. I know they're going to move Nick Bosa around, and so you could easily make this matchup Nick Bosa versus the other tackle that we have. So I just figured, let's just pick with Donovan Smith. But look, Kansas City is going to have to slow down this 49er pass rush. It's obviously by far the best part of this defense. Absolutely. And Kansas City's offensive line as a whole is going to have their hands full. Yeah. It's very important to keep Patrick Mahomes clean. The last time Kansas City went up against them, whether it was last year during the regular season or even if you want to go back to the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes was on the move. And, I know that's part of his game plan. I know that's part of his abilities, right, where he moves all around. But, let's be honest, the tackle play hasn't been as good throughout the year as we were hoping. And if you are missing, even though Nick Allegretti played well against the Ravens, he's not as good as your all-pro left guard. So, this is an advantage for the 49ers in terms of just the overall offensive versus defensive line. Now, one of the things that I think Kansas City is going to do, and then I'll let you jump in here. If the 49ers come out and playing a ton of aggressive, full-on blitzes, or they don't stay gap sound in their pass rushes, I think Kansas City's going to start off with a couple of screenplays, and that's gonna back the 49ers off. 49ers have played in the last 2 football games. They have not played very aggressive kind of defenses. Yeah, they've only been rushing with their top 4. They haven't sent a couple of extra blitzers, and it's burned them. Right, this is a 49ers unit that's given up 182 yards on the ground over the last 2 games.
Yeah.
They have not been playing a very aggressive style of defense. So if Kansas City might be able to take advantage of that, if the 49ers come out and their response to that is, hey, we can't sit back. We know Patrick Mahomes is really good at just breaking down zone coverage. Let's get after him. Kansas City might be the gameplay might just be, okay, let's start off with a couple of screens and make sure that they back off.
Yeah, I agree. Bosa didn't have a good time against us the last few times he's played us. So I don't know. I mean, I know he has an ankle injury right now, which has been hampering him a little bit. I mean, he's had an ankle injury for like 5 years, but um, I know that's hampering him a little bit. My my concern would be them lining him up against Taylor because Taylor has a tendency to jump without being a Bosa, without being that top player. Um, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with that absolutely. Um, but Taylor, I think he would probably jump with Bosa being right there. So that makes me a little nervous. I hope he really pays attention to film because Bosa has that tendency to make you jump. He's very good at it. He knows how to make you feel that intimidation. That
Well,
intimidation factor is there, and I think
he,
that's what makes me nervous about him.
he's one of the best pass rushers in football.
I know, I
He's
know.
the
It's just
defending defensive player of the year, right? Like this is a legit, one of the best pass rushers in football. And you are going to have to slow him down. Whether it's, running the ball to the opposite side, playing some screen game, doing some designed whether it's RPOs or rollouts to the other side of wherever he's not, chipping him. Like there are things that you can do to help limit him, but that's going to be a key matchup. You can't dedicate extra resources to him every single
no,
play.
not at all.
And
But that's where you know what I got to tell you. That's something that you have to really look at when it comes to Jerick McKinnon, because he is one of the. In fact, I think probably he was definitely last year the best blocking running back in football. There's no doubt about it. So if you did have him out there or someone dedicated like that can actually block the way he blocks, that would be a big help. Because as long as Taylor or somebody knows that there's a guy behind him that's willing to help, it wouldn't be so much pressure. That's what I think. Where I think McKinnon would be a big help is just in the run blocking alone or in the pass rush blocking. He's great at that. He always has been. In fact, he was a huge help against the 49ers the last time we played him.
yep.
So I don't know, man. It's going to be tough for either one of the tackles. I think Taylor's he's been playing very clean football. I'm not knocking him by any means. He's done a very good job, and I can't complain about that, especially of late. During the playoffs, he did a great job. Even in that freaking ice box game we had, he did a great job. But again, this is a different team, different pass rush. Um, it's going to be a challenge. I mean, there's no doubt. Do I think this is going to be Mahomes running for his life game? No, I do not. I don't see that happening. Is it going to happen on occasion? I think there's going to be a couple pressures. I don't think it's going to be monstrous, but I think there's going to be a couple. That's going to, Mahomes is great under pressure, so we don't have to worry about it so much. He's great against the blitz. We don't have to worry about that as much. The one thing I will say is that Kyle Shanahan has never beaten Andy Reid.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, so that is something that is, I know it's on their mind. I know it's on Kittle's mind. I know it's on Brock Purdy's mind, even though he's never played the Chiefs. This is just little things that everybody has to think about going into this game. And I know everybody's thinking this is going to be a fucking blowout. It's not. This is not going to be, we're going to go in there and fuck this team up and be done with it. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first guy on this show to say, man, I was wrong. But I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk. I don't think this is going to be, I know that the 49ers got their ass handed to them basically by the Ravens, and we beat the Ravens. We got, they got their ass handed to it by us, but it doesn't matter. We've played the Ravens before. There's a different coaching aspect that's involved. Harbaugh is actually scared of Andy Reid and the Chiefs. He plays different football. Lamar Jackson, you can absolutely tell he's scared of us. I think Brock Purdy's coming in with a giant fucking boulder-sized chip on his shoulder, and he wants to prove something because he was Mr. Irrelevant that's now in a Super Bowl. It's going to be a little tougher game than people expect. And look, man, the one person that scares the living fuck out of me right now is Christian McCaffrey. He scares me, bro. He's good. So there's going to be some aspects to this game that I think they're going to have to realize This is not going to be as easy as everybody thinks it's going to be.
Well, speaking of running backs, our third and final key matchup is Isaiah Pacheco versus Fred Warner, the linebacker for the 49ers. I think that you could probably put Fred Warner versus almost anybody on the Chiefs offense, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
Fred Warner is probably the best linebacker in all football.
Mhm.
He's the quarterback of that 49ers defense. He has the ability to cover tight ends and running backs. They put him under a lot of pressure to do a ton of different jobs. I think that Fred Warner is probably the best linebacker in all of football,
Pretty
and
close.
if he's going to slow down the run game, if Isaiah Pacheco is going to be slowed down, it will be because of Fred Warner.
Okay, I can tell you now what the way Pacheco runs. Look. He's just an angry runner.
Yeah, he runs like a
He
Scooby Doo villain. We've been
he
over this.
really does. Yeah, he's just fucking insane. The guy's nuts. I actually recorded him down at a thing down at the Allegiant, and he's just angry. I mean, he's a happy guy, but man, when he has a different look in his eye when you're talking about football, and it's kind of freaky. I have a feeling that when he sees Warner, and if Warner's in his way, he's going to go full bore into him. I think he's just going to go straight ahead and take his chances with him. I almost look, man, I know people are going to say I'm crazy, but I give the advantage to Pacheco because he's fucking insane. I don't think people realize, yeah, they can see it on the field. What's up, Philip? You can see it on the field. You can, when you're watching TV, and you can say, oh, wow, he's a good runner. He just has a different fucking look in his eye when he's talking about football. I don't know, man. I don't know if they're. I don't think Fred Warner's an advantage for them when it comes to him. I just don't.
I completely disagree with that. I think Fred Warner to me is the best middle linebacker in football. When you see what he has to be in charge of, in terms of what the defense is set around him, the responsibilities that he has to have that he's given when he has a quote unquote bad game. It's because he has just a ton of responsibilities under that defense, and you
He's got a
know
ton this week.
I know. Well, I know, but that's why it's a key matchup because he is truly is a great middle linebacker.
I'm not saying he's not. I just think I look at if you go back and look at all the games that they played this year, especially this year. I don't know if they faced a running back like Pacheco. I don't think he's faced a running back like Pacheco. Nobody in this league runs the way he does. No one. I just don't know if he's prepared for somebody that's as quick as Pacheco now that has learned how to cut and can break. I mean, Pacheco carries 4 or 5 guys with him. I don't know, man. I don't think it's as much an advantage to the 49ers or to Fred Warner as people want to give, or you want to give him credit for. Is he great? Yeah, he's great. But I think Pacheco's running style and his just everyday anger when it comes on the field, I just don't think he's faced anybody like him yet.
Yeah,
So,
I don't want to say it's necessarily an advantage for either one because it's not like Fred Warner is just going after one on one with Pacheco all game. I just think that Fred Warner, what he does in this game, if the 49ers are going to slow down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense, Fred Warner is going to be a big part of that
yeah.
because with the screen game and with the sort of those RPOs and passes that go to Travis Kelce / Rashee Rice over the middle of the field, Fred Warner is going to have the most say over whether or not those things are successful. And when Pacheco runs down in between the tackles, Fred Warner is going to be the guy that has the most say over whether those are successful or not. So Fred Warner is a huge part of that defense, and it's going to be a key matchup for Pacheco in the run game, in the pass game, and really anything over the middle. He's put in a lot of difficult positions, and he's good enough to be successful in them. So he's a hell of a linebacker.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, they're ranked number 3 in the league for a reason. So I don't know, man. I just have a feeling that Pacheco is a different runner than he's going to be that they're used to in general. No matter who's on that defensive line or the linebacker core, I think he's just a different runner, and I think he's going to prove that in this game. I think they're going to feel his wrath. That's the one player that I'm not worried about. When it comes to just all out crazy ass running style, that's Pacheco. He's not normal. I mean, he's got to talk about somebody who's got a big ass chip on their shoulder. That's him. That dude there is proving everybody that, you know what, I shouldn't have been a 7th-round pick. And I belong as a starter in this league.
Okay, let's talk about some of the stuff that has happened on yesterday. Really, a lot of this stuff happened yesterday. There was
Yes.
total media availability, so
It's kind of cool.
you were able to talk to anybody and everybody. First thing, let's talk about the videos of just everybody on the Pacheco, Travis Kelce, and even Mahomes getting booed while they were out on stage.
That was kind of comical, actually.
Look, here's my thing about this. You're in Las Vegas, and it's early in the week. There are not many Chiefs fans or 49ers fans out there yet.
Oh, there was a shit ton.
Who is out there?
Oh, there was a shit ton.
Raiders.
I can tell you that for sure. No. Dude, that fucking place, there was 21,000 people there, and I guarantee you there was 16,000 fans of the 49ers or the Chiefs. A lot of Chiefs fans in the audience.
Really?
I went in late, yeah. And I can tell you there was an ignorant amount of fans there. There was some Raiders fans. There was a couple of, I think there was 2 of the 6 Charger fans out there. But for the most part, it was Chiefs and 49er fans. And
I retract my statement then.
Yeah, it was kind of nuts. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of 49er. There was other fans booing, of course, people just boo in general because look, you're the new Patriots. You're going to get booed. But yeah, it was nuts to see, and they got. I like what Patrick said. It was kind of cool that he just flat out said,
we'll get to that, Will.
Yeah, we'll get to it. He said, "I hear you, but we're here. We're here." They booed the shit out of him. They booed Travis Kelce.
Just laughing it off. Look, this is another guy. This is a guy that feeds off of that. He feeds off of energy, just in general, whether it's positive or negative. And his energy breeds into the rest of the team. So you're just firing him up. This is the Kansas City Chiefs are once again underdogs in this game, which is crazy to me that they're set as
the underdog. It's changed twice or 3 times already too.
But this is a team that takes that and they're okay. Well, let me show you why you're wrong.
Yeah.
The old you either die a hero or see yourself live long enough to become the villain is 100% true for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because 4 or 5 years ago, everybody was rooting for the Chiefs because they were like, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes, look at him, what he does. Andy Reid, this big, fun, loving dude. This is such a cool team and everything that they do. Let's hope that they win." Now you fast forward, and people are just sick of it. People want to see something else, and so you just accept the fact that you're the villain, and you continue to go out there and really continue. Haters gonna hate. And that's it. That's it for me. Haters gonna hate, accept it, and keep going out there and winning.
Well, it's kind of comical because last night Mahomes was asked. Every fucking time he does something that's a big event, he's always asked about Brady, which is kind of stupid given the fact that Brady's retired and Mahomes is 6 years into his career and Brady's, played 23 years. But there was a question about Brady and. He said, "Well, hopefully I can, I plan on playing as long as Brady did, God willing." He says, "I got to get rid of my dad bod first so I can stay healthy." But he plans on playing as long as Brady did. And, I know Mahomes wants to break his record. It's that simple. He wants to break his records. He's already broken some. And that's just in a 6-year period of being a starter. But he wants to break more. He actually broke records that Brady never reached. But he just wants to go out and go full bore. I think that, when I talk to other fans, it's not that they hate Mahomes. It's not that they hate Kelce. They just hate the fact that they're not on their team. They hate the fact that Andy Reid is not their head coach. And that's frustrating for a lot of these guys. Andy Reid off of a bye. and Purdy wets himself and somewhat contain McCaffrey. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, you're right. I mean, that's what it's going to take, and I think that can easily be done with Brock Purdy, especially. Containing McCaffrey is going to be a bitch, but making Brock wet himself is not going to be that difficult with Chris Jones in the mix. But yeah, Mahomes, he handled those questions well. He didn't waver from anything. Kelsey handled the question. I mean, they asked Kelsey if he was going to give Taylor Swift a ring. He's not going to mention that shit. They did ask him. They asked Kelsey, about Taylor Swift winning Album of the Year or whatever it was, and at the Grammys, and he said, "Yeah, I told her I was going to have to bring some hardware home to match it." So I think they all have their own reasons for winning this game. Mahomes' reason is just because he wants to be the best ever, and he wants to embarrass other people, and that's he wants to be the villain now. He likes playing that part, and that's what he's going to be for the rest of his career. There's no doubt about that. Mahomes is the villain.
That Kansas City could win a playoff game there before the Raiders do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the other stuff that was said. Charvarius Ward said that it's better.
Oh, it's better over here. Better? Yeah, it's better over here. In what ways is it better? Every way. Every way possible.
So that's when he was asked about, playing in for Kansas City or the 49ers, that's what he had to say. This is that bulletin board material. Kansas City never has anything like that. I mean, I think the last time Kansas City had a problem with that, it was Justin Reed last year, and immediately it was shut down.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that doesn't come out of Kansas City, and it comes out of other teams, and the Chiefs see it. They write it down. They probably don't put it on a bulletin board because I assume bulletin boards don't exist in the era of Microsoft Surface tablets.
Oh, they do. Andy's got a big whiteboard.
I'm sure that they have they probably have an app on their Microsoft, their Surface that they can go back to. It's a virtual bulletin board that they can put stuff on. Nick Bosa had some stuff to say about.
Stand out when you watch them.
They hold a lot.
So, he was asked, what stands out about the Chiefs tackles, and he said they hold a lot. This is the kind of stuff that other teams talk about. Other teams, players come out and they dog on the Kansas City Chiefs and they say stuff, and you bet your ass that those tackles, the whole Chiefs offensive line is going to see that and recognize that. Look, last year when we were talking about Chiefs going up against the Eagles, the entire conversation was the historic Eagles defensive line. Look at them. They have the most sacks in NFL history. Look at how good the defensive line is. And then what do? The Chiefs offensive line comes in and doesn't allow a single sack against the Eagles, this historic defensive line. Yeah. And while I don't think that that's, going to happen, I do think that, they step up to the moment. I do think that it's realistic that Kansas City's offensive line can limit the 49ers defensive line.
Okay, here's the thing.
Just helping them out.
Well, here's the thing, though, Quentin. That's a stupid-ass thing to say. And York actually came out and said, I remember a 3rd and 11 penalty hold, and that's what cost us the game. No, what cost you the game was giving up 21 unanswered points to the Chiefs. That's what cost you the game. We were down by 17 and we're won by 11. There's a reason why you lost, and it wasn't one hold on Nick Bosa. So that's one thing. But second of all, man, Chris Jones is held on every play, blatant, in front of the refs, wide open field, every single play of his career. Does anybody say anything about it besides outside media? No. Chris Jones doesn't go out and go, man, I got held. I got held. No, he just fights through the holds and he pushes through until he gets his ass in the backfield.
He got tripped in the AFC Championship game, which could have been a safety, and he didn't come out and say one word about it.
Not a damn thing. So, for him to cry about that right off the bat, I mean, look, they started crying. That was the first cry fit. Then it was York crying. And then, now we can get into it if you want. The fucking field crying. I mean,
yeah. So the way that it works is Kansas City is the home team this year. It goes back and forth between the AFC, NFC, which one's the home team. So Kansas City is practicing in the Raiders stadium or in the Raiders practice facility, which is funny because they painted Chiefs logos all over the place.
Yes, they did.
Which means that the Niners are playing at UNLV, a college stadium, and they were complaining that the field feels like a sponge, which, I mean, I don't think they're lying about it. So they're
Okay, but
complaining
here's
about
the problem
field
with that, though,
condition.
Quentin. There's a problem with that. Here's the problem. Goodell came out and said, including the 49ers staff, players, coaches, everybody, it was unanimous that field was just fine. There was nothing wrong with that field. They were pissed off because they had to play in the rain. They had to practice in the rain.
Well, the Chiefs practiced out in the rain yesterday.
I know that's the difference between the Chiefs and the 49ers. The Chiefs aren't fucking soft. They're not going to complain. Look, we practiced outside at Arizona State last year. We're 2-2 right now in Super Bowls. Two where we played in NFC stadium and in the AFC stadiums. And both times we practice outside in shit conditions. Not one word was said by the Chiefs. Nothing. Arizona State's field's not that fucking great either. So anybody that thinks it is, they're crazy. UNLV field, I can tell you now from experience, I've been on. It sucks, but it's not horrible. And they actually put turf down for them, or grass.
Yeah, that was the other thing is that
God,
UNLV has a fake field. The NFL brought in grass and laid it over the
fake field.
fake field, and so they're practicing on grass. And I don't think whether or not the field is good or bad or whatever isn't the point, right? I don't think that's the point of this. I think the point is that you have another team bitching about the field conditions before the game even starts. And I know this time it isn't the actual field that they're playing on as of the moment, but I just feel like that you have another team that's complaining about the
Everything.
defensive, offensive line holding. And now you've got a team complaining about the practice field that they have, even though this is standard protocol for what the NFL has done for years. And it's just like, it's Tuesday. What?
Dude, they've been complaining since Saturday.
That's crazy about all the different stuff that they're just finding to complain about.
Yeah, I had to laugh. I'll tell you a
crazy.
good one. I'll tell you a really good one. So when that came out, and there was a bunch of fans bitching on Twitter about, or X or whatever you want to call it, about, oh, well, this is bullshit. Why don't the Chiefs practice outside then? It's wrong that the 49ers got to practice in the rain on a weird field, and they should have put the grass down. Now, this is the best. They should have put the sod down a week early. That way it would have taken a chance to grab a hold and seed in. First of all, sod doesn't seed in on top of fucking rubber turf. You ignorant fool. They rolled it over to the top of turf. It's not going to seat. If they would have put it in 2 weeks ago, it would be dead. Because it doesn't rain here that often, number one. But number two, it's not going to hold. It doesn't grow into turf. So for you to sit there and think that this grass is going to live out 2.5 weeks of it sitting on top of rubber, you're out of your fucking mind. That's the first thing. So I replied to the guy and I said, well, maybe they should have gotten up earlier and showed up to Allegiant earlier, and maybe they would have got the indoor facility. I just said it to fuck with him. He came back and he goes, what do you mean? That's not how it works. And I said, then what are you bitching about? If you know how it works and you can't take parity, what I just said to you, then what are you bitching about? Why are you making excuses 11 days before the game starts? You're making excuse after excuse after excuse. If you're trying to make up reasons why you may lose this football game, you're going to make yourself look bad. Stop complaining. It's not a good look. In fact, who was it that came out and said it? A reporter came out for FS1 and came out and flat out said, he said, you know what? The Chiefs played at Arizona State last year and didn't say jack. Nobody said anything about it. Not a great field. What's up, Will? Not yet. I haven't heard anything about the 49ers. I really haven't paid attention either. But the last time we practiced on in an NFC stadium, it was the Bucks, because we played the Bucks in Tampa, right? Wasn't it the Bucks that we played in Tampa? Yeah, and the field was fucking trash. It was worse than the Washington football team's field. It was horrid. Chiefs didn't say a damn thing. Then, by the way, Quentin, they're also complaining about the field that the Raiders grow outside, and then it goes on a track into the stadium. It's pretty fucking cool, actually. But it's better than Arizona. But anyway, they're complaining about that too, saying it's going to be too wet to practice on or to play on. It's not going to be too wet. It's actually going to stop raining tomorrow. They're not going to water it for the next few days, and they got a great drainage system on that field, in the trays that grass sits in. Quit complaining. Not a good look. You're starting early about they also complained about Taylor Swift. The NFL is going to give the Chiefs this game because they want Swifties to continue to watch football. You're muted for some reason. You're muted.
The NFL's rig thing is so funny to me because the NFL can't even figure out like how to like pay their refs or can't figure out how to call roughing the passer. And then you're going to talk about how they're going to be competent enough to rig games. Yeah. And even if you're saying, well, the poor reffing is part of the rigging. Well, it's like, okay, then you think out of the hundreds of employees the NFL has, not one person has come out and been like, hey, by the way, all of you are right. Yeah. Like, it's so funny. And I love the fact that, when we were getting the season schedules released from different teams, how like the teams are leaning into it. They're leaning into the whole, the script, the NFL script, and how that's just become the joke now. Yeah. Even during the New Heights podcast last week, that was something that they leaned into. Was they were talking about, man, I really wish I was all in on the script until they eliminated the Eagles. It's like stuff like that. It's like we should just lean into it because anybody that really believes that, I think that you have other thoughts on your mind and you just want to be angry.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Travarius Ward. L'Jarius Sneed. You're having a baby, and that's awesome. And look, man, you're winning on and off the field right now in every way possible. I don't know if you saw his girlfriend. Has anybody seen his girlfriend?
No.
Oh, God. Unbelievable. She's flawless. Flawless. I'm not kidding you. The man is winning on and off the field, but he's having a baby. That's awesome for him. He is playing in the game, so everybody's quit flipping out about that. Because I've heard people tweet, "Oh, well, he's not going to play then. He's not going to show up." He's definitely going to show up. He's basically missed media night and today, and then he's supposed to be here tomorrow. I think she may have had the kid today or is going to have it today, one way or another. So, shout out to him. I think that's awesome. But yeah, he's definitely winning on and off the field right now. Question came across, Quentin, about L'Jarius Sneed actually. And they came across Twitter and it asked, do you think we're going to re-sign him given the fact that he's going to get the bag next year? I'm going to say this. Yes. Probably unequivocally yes. I have no doubt he's going to be the guy they give the bag to. The one thing I will say, another question came across about Chris Jones, and I have a feeling that Chris Jones may be back next year. And I say it for one reason. Him and Spags are very close. Extremely close. Closer than you think. They actually go to church together on Saturday nights. I have a weird feeling that Chris Jones wants to stay here, and Spags is going to facilitate that in a way to help keep him here.
I think he always wanted to stay here. I think that's why. But man, I think it's going to take a hell of a lot of work. And when the Mike Evans news came across late last week, I want to say Friday maybe, that Mike Evans wants $30 to $35 million for
I don't know how true that is.
Agent.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is.
I think if you keep Chris Jones, you're pricing yourself out of some other stuff.
Chris, okay, well, I don't think Mike Evans ever even right now. Has he been talked about, but he's not a thought.
It's no, but what that means is he sets the market there. Then you're going to have
if he gets it.
The lower guys are going to, they're going to sign for money out. That's going to be outpriced in Kansas City, and
but that's only if he gets it, though.
Yeah, but
I don't think anybody's going to give him that money.
If the starting market is $35 million, you figure that he's going to at least get $25 million. If he gets $25 million, then who's going to get what? Kansas City. You figure someone like Calvin Ridley, which is a guy that I'd be interested in. You figured he's probably going to get what, 22, And
I don't
so
think he'll get that much. He didn't play that good this year. He
he
didn't
had
have
over
that great of a
1,000
year.
yards.
I know, but he didn't have. Mike Evans had 1,800 yards, I think, or no, he had 1,250 yards, and he scored an immense amount of touchdowns. I don't think.
Got to remember, everybody in free agency is more expensive.
I know, but I don't think Calvin Ridley. I think he'll pull somewhere between 16 and 18 million, maybe 20 max. I don't see Mike Evans getting more than 20. Period, because he's old. He's going to be 31 next year. He's
Yeah,
had
but
injuries. I
You
don't
saw
know, man.
what Odell Beckham got and what DeAndre Hopkins got.
Yeah, but they got
Premium-
16 and 18 million dollars.
Premium wide receivers get paid hard, and when you haven't had any injury history, and when you've come out and you've had 1,000 yards every single year, people are going to want to pay for that.
He's got injury history. He missed an entire season, pretty much.
Who?
Mike Evans.
No, he's had 1,000 yards every year in his career.
He missed in 2020, I think it was. He missed a significant amount of time. Yes, he had a ton of yards, but he missed 4 or 5 games. He's had some injuries, and one of them was a pretty serious injury. In fact, that was in one of the games when the Bucs played the Saints. He wasn't in that game, and they lost 9-0. I don't see him getting that kind of money. Look, man, Odell Beckham Jr. got 15 million, 18 million with incentives. Did he reach them? No, he didn't get 1,000 yards, and he didn't have the touchdowns.
I promise you, JP, Mike Evans set 1,000 yards every year of his career.
He has, but he's missed time. He's missed time in his career.
And
He's up there in age.
People will pay for that, especially if you're an up and coming franchise that's not paying a quarterback a lot of money or doesn't have any giant contracts on the book. You're going to want to pay for that. They're going to overpay for wide receivers this free agency, which means Kansas City is going to get outpriced. We saw that with DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins was going to come to Kansas City if they had the cap space for it. The Titans threw a ton of money at him, and DeAndre Hopkins decided to go to Tennessee.
Yeah, but he's still not getting $30 million a year. And he, in my opinion, he's a better wide. He's got more longevity. He hasn't been injured nearly as much, and he doesn't have the drops. Mike Evans had the drops this year, which he's never had before. Really, he had a lot of them this year. He had them in the playoffs. So I don't know, man. I just don't see him getting $30 million. I don't
think he's getting that 30, 35 million. But what I do see him getting is closer to that $25 million. And what's going to happen is that'll trickle down to some of these other guys, where Calvin Ridley's going to get a big amount of money. Michael Pittman Jr., which is the guy that I hope Kansas City gets, is going to.
That's who they're interested in.
And then and that even trickles down to guys like Darnell Mooney, right? So you're signing guys to somewhere between $18 and $25 million. Kansas City's not going to take that.
No, I think what you're going to see is a Michael Pittman Jr. that probably gets somewhere around 14 to 15 million. I don't think he's going to get anywhere near 20 yet. I just don't see it.
I think you got to throw a few more $1 million on the top of that.
I don't know. I just don't see him getting that kind of money yet. I don't see it happening. Maybe, he signed a short-term deal with us, a couple of years, at 13, 14 million a year, guaranteed money. I just don't see it happening. And look, we don't even know for the most part, we don't know what Veach's plan is. One thing I do know about Veach and Andy is that if they're priced out of the market, they'll go pull somebody in the draft like they did with Rashee Rice, and they'll just continue on. And they'll get a couple of younger guys or a couple of mid-age guys. They'll hang on to Justin Watson. They'll bring a couple of guys in that aren't the best, but elite top wide receivers, better serviceable with Patrick Mahomes. And we got there to a Super Bowl this year with 40 fucking drops.
Yeah.
So I don't see him going out. He's not going to go out and spend that kind of money. Will we probably see Willie Gay go? Most likely, which sucks, but we'll see that happen. Even though he's worth about
to my side of this.
Well, and it's stupid in my opinion because the premium on that position is about $7 million a year. So I don't think he's the guy that's going to break your bank, but he is the guy that's going to help you tremendously because here's the thing. Even Baldy said this, dude, and I've been saying this for a while. That fucking linebacker core is really a solid heart of our defense. They really are. Between them and the secondary, you can't get much better. The secondary is as good as they are because the linebackers are as good as they are. That's just the way it works. Shit rolls downhill, and everything starts at the front. And whatever gets missed, which when Nadi's not there, running backs have gone wild on us. Is what it is. Nick, what happened when Willie Gay wasn't in there? We had 186 yards put on our ass on the ground. So they need to think about that $7 million a year and say, fuck, maybe that's not such a bad thing.
The problem
Also-
is that, you know, if you spend $7 million a year there, you're going to have to pull, you know, whatever.
That's where you just negotiate with somebody else. You figure it out with one of the other players, whether it be Chris Jones or a couple of other players, and say, look, put you on a bonus structure deal. You're going to reach it anyway. We'll make it attainable. We'll pay you, you know, bonus money up front or even at the end of the season, whatever you want to do it, and you backload the contracts. That way, at the end of that 3-year deal with Chris Jones, you got an out. At the end of that 3-year deal with fucking Willie Gay, you got an out. But you have to keep your core guys, man. We went through this with the wide receivers, and that's what everybody was scared about this year. We can't continue to just roll people over and over and over. You got room on, you got enough cap space going into next year right now to pretty much sign everybody if you wanted to. Now, are they going to? No. But they have the room to do it. They're going to have a lot of money sitting there. MVS is not coming back. That saves you $12 million right there. That's $12 million. He's not coming back. We all know that. Yeah, he's done a good job in the playoffs so far, but he's not coming back. Bless you. I just think they need to really consider, and I know Spags is pushing for it too, consider what you've got and what you can potentially lose, not just from a player standpoint, but from this historic defense. This defense wants to stick together. They really do. And I think Chris Jones wants to be a big part of that.
Yeah, it is a historic defense. You know, this is the Chiefs have an opportunity to be the first team in NFL history to give up less than 28 points in 20 games.
Yeah.
There are the only other teams in the Super Bowl era to do that. Haven't done it in 20 games because there weren't 20 games to be played in. But they were the 2000s Ravens, the 2010 Packers, the 06 Steelers, and I can't remember the fourth one off the top of my head. Maybe
probably a Belichick
Broncos.
team.
I don't remember. But you know, there's only 4 teams in NFL history to do that in the Super Bowl era. So this is and they did it in 19 games, not 20, because there weren't 20 games to be played. Yeah. We can talk more off-season stuff when the Chiefs are in the off-season. Luckily for us here in Kansas City, we haven't had to talk about off-season stuff in February because we're good at football. So
yeah. That's a good question there. Which one would you rather have back, Gay or Tranquil?
That's a hard one. Probably Gay. Just because I do think that you can find Drew Tranquil-ish guys with more safety kind of body figures, whereas Gay, I think there's a reason why he's the number 2 linebacker on the team.
Exactly.
But both of those guys are very good. Drew Tranquil is much better in coverage. Gay is much better in more 3-down linebacker stuff. So both in the run and the pass game. But yeah,
I think Willie Gay is more athletic.
Yeah. That's why he's more of that 3-down linebacker type.
Exactly. So it's just tough to see both. I mean, both of them are up, but I have a feeling they're going to keep one, and I think it might be. Yeah, it might be Willie Gay. I think they would keep him for his experience, his knowledge of the team, his knowledge with Spags over Tranquil, but that's just me. We'll just have to see what happens. Yeah, and he could reunite with Gus Bradley in Indy next season. Absolutely. And I think it wouldn't hurt the team as much if he was gone versus Willie Gay. That's just my opinion. But I think Snead and Chris Jones really need to be back here. They're the heart and soul of this team. I mean,
I definitely, over the season, I have become more and more aware of bringing Snead back, and I think it's more realistic than I originally thought. The Chris Jones one, I'm gonna have to see it to believe it. That's what it is for me.
That's a big fucking set of shoes to fill. Yeah, and I don't know if you're going to be able to do that.
I know you can't replace what Chris Jones has been. You're going to have to completely rebuild the defensive line, and then that's just the way that's going to be. Yeah. That's all that I have here on my list.
Yeah, that's all I got.
On Thursday, we will talk about the other side of the ball. So Kansas City offense we will talk about the 49ers offense versus the Kansas City defense. And I'm sure Charvarius Ward or someone on the 49ers will say some more stupid shit that we'll have to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you for joining. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will talk to you guys again on Thursday. Peace out, everybody.